Hey guys, tonight we're going to climb aboard an 18th century warship, a place where the line between comfort and chaos was thinner than a strand of hemp rope. Imagine the wooden belly of a ship, creaking under the slow heave of the waves. The air is thick with tar, sweat, and a little too much salt. Lanterns swing from the beams, throwing soft yellow light on rows of men settling into hammocks strung just inches apart. This is where sailors slept, right above the cannon deck. You probably wouldn't survive the smell alone, let alone the motion. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And tell me, where are you listening from tonight? What time is it there? Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease in to tonight's journey together. You're standing on the gun deck of a British man-of-war, sometime around 1798. The ship rocks steadily, and the sound of water lapping against the hull mixes with the faint rattle of iron chains. The cannons rest silent for now, 32 great bronze beasts lined up in perfect rows. Between them, the sailors' hammocks sway like pale cocoons, each holding a man who spent his day hauling ropes, scrubbing planks, or firing guns. At first, it looks peaceful, rows of men gently swinging, snoring, or mumbling in dreams. But you quickly notice how little space there is. The hammocks hang only a foot apart, and you could easily reach out and poke your neighbor's nose. The air down here feels alive, humid, heavy, full of life and smell. You get tobacco, damp rope, a hint of mold, and that unmistakable tang of salt meat stew that no one finished. A sailor walks past you, his bare feet soft against the wood. He's wearing nothing but a loose shirt, his skin shiny with sweat. He hooks his hammock to 2 iron rings, gives it a quick test swing, and clambers in with the grace of someone who's done it 1,000 times. You notice the motion, how it steadies almost instantly. The ship rows left, the hammock swings right, and the 2 movements cancel each other out. It's strangely hypnotic. You could almost fall asleep watching it. Hammocks, it turns out, were one of the great naval inventions, not just for comfort, but survival. Before hammocks, sailors slept on hard boards or thin mats that slid around every time the ship pitched. When storms hit, they were tossed like sacks of potatoes. But sometime in the mid-1500s, European sailors borrowed the idea from Caribbean peoples who'd been weaving hammocks from tree bark for centuries. Within decades, every serious navy had adopted them. Still, comfort is relative. On a warship with 500 men, sleep was a noisy affair. You could hear coughing, teeth grinding, the squeak of canvas, the gurgle of bilge water, and the faint scurrying of rats above. One diary from 1775 describes the sound as a restless thunder of dreams, not the lullaby you were hoping for. Historians still argue whether sailors really got used to it, or if they simply learned to collapse from exhaustion. Some accounts suggest men could fall asleep anywhere, even standing up. Others claim they never fully slept, only drifted in and out between the cries of the lookout and the slosh of buckets. Then there was the danger. Remember those cannons you're sleeping next to? If the ship came under fire, you'd have seconds to jump from your hammock, untie it, and stow it away. Hammocks doubled as emergency padding. Rolled up, they were stuffed between guns to absorb recoil. Sometimes, when cannonballs tore through the hull, hammocks became makeshift stretchers, or, grimly, burial shrouds. And yet, despite the chaos, men loved them. They called them the cradle of the sea. Some even claimed they couldn't sleep on land anymore. Once you've been rocked gently by the rhythm of the waves night after night, your brain starts to crave it. Modern sleep studies, yes, there are actual studies, confirm this. Gentle rocking triggers deeper, more stable sleep cycles. So, in a strange way, those cannon deck hammocks were doing something right. You take another slow breath of the air, warm, oily, and oddly comforting now. The ship groans softly, ropes creak, and you feel the rhythm settle into your bones. For a moment, you understand why some sailors said it was the only time they felt safe. Wrapped in canvas, suspended between sky and sea, rocked like an infant in a wooden cradle. Outside, the waves slap against the hull. Somewhere above, the night watch hums a quiet tune about home, and the cannons, silent, cold, stand guard as the ship dreams its slow, endless dream. You're still below deck, and now it's your turn to string up your own hammock. It looks deceptively simple, a length of heavy canvas, 2 clues of rope at each end. But on a warship, this was serious business. Every sailor had a designated berth space, measured to the inch, because 500 hammocks could fit only if every man hung his just right. The slightest slack or bad knot could mean bumping your neighbor all night, or worse, collapsing mid-snore. You unroll your hammock and notice it's stiff, almost like sailcloth. That's because it is sailcloth, recycled from the ship's worn-out canvas. You loop one end to the iron ring above, pull it tight, and then twist the other side so it hangs slightly higher. That subtle tilt keeps your head above your feet, a little trick sailors swore prevented seasickness. They had a trick for everything: how to angle your hammock so the sway matched the ship's roll, how to fold your blanket just right so you didn't freeze at 3 a.m., and most crucially, how to sleep without getting dumped out when the ship lurched. A sailor nearby chuckles as you struggle with the ropes. He says, "Don't forget the socks." You glance over, confused, and he grins. Sailors believe you should never sleep with both socks off. It tempted bad dreams. Some swore the devil himself would climb into the empty foot of your hammock if you left it bare. Others said it was just to keep rats from nibbling your toes. Either way, no one argued with tradition. By candlelight, you see the rest of the crew preparing for sleep. The bustle slows. One man tucks a locket into his shirt. Another mutters a quick prayer. Someone scratches his initials into the beam above his head, a small mark of existence in the middle of an endless sea. There's laughter, a final belch, a thud of boots hitting the floor. Then, one by one, they climb into their hammocks. A midshipman walks by, checking the lines. His job isn't to tuck anyone in, but to make sure no hammocks hang in the gangways. Safety first, even at sea. Regulations were strict. On British ships, the Royal Navy required hammocks to be stowed compact and taut every morning. Failure to do so could earn you a flogging. The U.S. Navy, by contrast, was slightly more forgiving. Slightly. Either way, your hammock wasn't private property. It was government issued, just like your uniform, your spoon, your toothbrush, if you were lucky enough to have one. Historians still argue whether these hammocks actually helped maintain discipline, or if they just symbolized it. Some claim the nightly ritual of hanging, sleeping, and stowing reinforced a kind of collective order, each man literally bound into the ship's structure. Others think it was simply practical. Hammocks took up less space, and space on a warship was worth more than gold. You adjust yourself and settle in. The motion is constant, but gentle, a rhythm that seeps into your bones. You can hear the ship breathing, the slow creak of timbers, the soft splash outside, the low murmur of men drifting into sleep. The air moves in slow waves too, rising with the swell, sighing with the beams. You could almost forget there's a whole ocean trying to toss you off balance. Then a sudden clang from above. The ship's bell strikes the next watch. Somewhere topside, boots thud, ropes groan, and fresh hands take their posts. Down here, the world narrows to a few square feet of swinging canvas. You close your eyes and feel the ship cradle you like a living thing. The faint heat of nearby bodies makes the air close and heavy, but not unpleasant. You catch a whiff of tobacco smoke from a smoldering pipe, someone breaking the rules, as always. And for a fleeting moment, between the roll of waves and the rhythmic creak of ropes, you think this is almost comfortable.